All right. So the final Fed rate decision of 2025 is now done and over, and there's plenty of drama. We have been in the lead up to that December 10th decision, been giving it a lot of coverage. Now it's time to get you up to date on what has happened in the market. So there's plenty to digest, and also we'll, of course, check in on your crowd favorites like Bitcoin, gold, and well, if we have time, even check in on this one AI stock, then ask the question whether this AI stock could push the S&P 500 to a new record high. Hello, 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 and welcome to this live stream. My name is Han Tan. I'm the chief market analyst at Bybit, where we not only just offer all the cryptos and derivatives that you so much enjoy, but also we offer plenty of TradFi products as well. And so we'll cover them as much as we can in the next half an hour or so, at least to kind of jog your imagination and give you ideas about what's happening in the markets. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Bitcoin chart here, which I know you guys all so love. And while you're doing that, I'm going to try and get confirmation that we are indeed broadcasting live on YouTube. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. For those of you who are not aware, we are on YouTube. Our official YouTube channel is Bybit Learn Official. Again, that's Bybit Learn Official. Make sure you check it out there. Or also, we are streaming live on X. I want to get confirmation that we are. Yes, we are. Our X handle is at Bybit_learn. Again, that's at Bybit_learn. So that's our X handle, Bybit Learn Official on YouTube. Okay. All right. So let's get right to this. Okay. So if you really look at this chart here, this is again the daily time frame that we have been using for these live streams. Now, of course, we know that most of you are watching this after the live stream has ended at your convenience, which is totally fine. All right. But so that's why we use a daily time frame to kind of make sure that there things haven't moved too fast, and by the time you watch it, it's still relevant. Okay. But just looking at a daily time frame, right, and I'll kind of just go over some brief history here. Notice how the big round numbers of 94,000 over here, right? You see this white line running across. Again, big round numbers can often act as either support or resistance for prices. Support, just think of a floor where prices hit it and bounce back up, or resistance, think of a ceiling where prices hit it and come back down. That's what we have seen around the 94,000 mark. You go back to early December, hit it on December 3rd and 4th, right? Come back down. Right, hit here, come back down, hit it, come back down. And then similarly, it's tried again this week, right? December 9th and then December 10th, Tuesday, Wednesday, hits it, comes back down, hits it, comes back down. So rejected, resisted at the 94,000 big round number so far this month. Now to the downside, testing support at the 21-day simple moving average, SMA. This is a widely followed technical indicator, and if you have been following these live streams, you would know I had been highlighting this simple moving average for a long time. You see the resistance around here back in early November, November 11th to be more precise, right? Then now it's been acting as support in recent days, right? So actually all of this week from the 8th onwards, right? Hits it, bounce back up, hits it, bounce back up. Right now hitting it again. Will it break below? Now the reason I highlight this is because this is so pertinent to our setup that we have had since last week. Okay, so I mean, and you let me know, right? Because on December 9th, right before the Fed decision, it got oh so close to that 95,000 target that we have had really for a long time. We've had this target since November 21st, right? And it got to within, I want to say, let me check the numbers here on our Bybit platform, less than $400 away. And let me just do some quick math here. 400 divided by 94,600. right? Only about 0.4% away from that 95,000 target. So you let me know, was that good enough? Should we close this, or you really want to keep it open and try to hit that 95,000 target that we've had since November 21st? If you don't believe me, again, in the name of transparency, we have everything all posted on our YouTube channel. Make sure you again search for Bybit Learn Official. Click on the live tab and you can see all of our live streams there for these daily market updates. And then on X, similarly, you can find them. You just got to scroll down. Of course, search for @Bybit_learn. That's our handle. And then we've got the November 21st live stream there. We've had this 95K target there for a while now. So while to the upside, it's been resisted around the 94,000 level. But bulls can take, I guess, some measure of comfort. Bulls meaning those who hope that prices will go higher, and a big sign of that is whether you can see higher lows. So you got this big intraday low here on November 21st, and then on December 1st I came down, but then ever since then in all these cycles, right, you are seeing higher low prices again on December 7th, and then we'll see where it ends up today, right? And don't worry, I'll share all of this to you in a table form so it's easier to follow. So, whether that's 0.4% or $400 away from the target, that's good enough. We can close it. Or you're going to keep it running. Yeah, you let me know. But just know that we have had this target since November 21st. Okay. That's Bitcoin for you now. Now let's take a look at the more minute or more granular reaction to what happened overnight after the Fed rate decision. And I've written all about it on in our daily bits. That's what we call our daily article. So if you are following on bybit.com on the desktop, let me just zoom in here so you can see this clearly, right? So across the top, you will see this Learn tab. Again, this is bybit.com. You'll see this Learn tab. Click on the new Bybit Learn with a new icon there, and I click on it. And those of you following on the app, I'll show you how to get there in a bit, right? For those of you on the Bybit app, you can just look for services. Okay, so go to your account icon in the top left-hand corner, click on it, look for services, and Learn is one of the services there, right? Then when you scroll down, okay, you will see analysis. You can click on analysis. Let me just zoom out a bit here real quick. There are two ways you can get to the daily bits, but I'll just show you the same way that you would do on the Bybit app, right? So go to the Learn section, which is under Services, which is under your account in the top left-hand corner. Scroll down, you click on Analysis, right? And then you will keep scrolling down to see Daily Bits, okay? So a simpler way for the desktop guys, just go to learn.bybit.com, right? Scroll down to see daily bits. Okay. On the app, again, first things first, go to your account in the top left-hand corner, click on it, look for under services, look for Learn, click on it, same thing, right? Click on analysis, and then you scroll down till you see daily bits. Okay. So this is today's one. I'll just get right to it. So excuse me, here's a quick recap. All right. So starting at Bitcoin here, right? This is the 1 day simple moving average. The 21-day simple moving average I showed you guys earlier. Tell you what, I'll show you guys gold and the SP500 in just a bit. But this is what the Bitcoin chart looked like right after the Fed meeting. I know things have moved around since then. So that's your 94,000 level, right? Breached up above it just within about an hour and a half, okay, of the Fed rate decision. So this is the 30-minute time frames, okay, that you can see right there. So that means each of these candlesticks, or these long bars or short bars, each of these bars represents how Bitcoin performed within a 30-minute time frame. Okay, and you can change all those time frames in the top left-hand corner there, down to 1 minute, all the way up to 1 month. For those of you using the app, you can find it under the settings, and you can change the time frame there. But this one just shows the half-hour reaction in Bitcoin. So you look at this is when the Fed formally announced its rate cut, which was widely expected. This was at 7 p.m. Server time, or 7 p.m. GMT, right? And then half an hour later, that's when Fed Chair Powell, he's the boss of the Federal Reserve, which is the world's most influential and powerful central bank. He then addressed the media starting at 7:30 p.m. GMT, right? And because of the signals that he was giving, essentially he doesn't see too much of a problem from tariffs, trade tariffs, really pushing inflation in the US up higher. He expects that to fade in after the first quarter of 2026. And then also he sounded optimistic about the US economy, that it should remain resilient, and especially the US jobs market, right? So based on those kind of cues, right, from 7:30 p.m. GMT onwards for the hour after that, right, you had Bitcoin then really just pushing above 94,000, like we mentioned earlier, getting to within 0.4% of that 95,000 target that we had all the way up here, right? So close, so close. But then what happened after that? Well, you've got a couple of things. Number one, you've got this company called Oracle, which is a big name in AI. They announced weaker than expected earnings, and so market fears returned. And then you saw a pullback or a decline in stock indices and also riskier assets like cryptos. Now, beyond that, now, of course, that is more of a stock market story. But for cryptos, you also note that I think there's a lot more fears still in play within the crypto space. That's why he couldn't hang on to these kind of gains up here. It quickly let them go. So, let me just highlight three things here. Now, number one, there's this phenomenon called sell the news. Okay, so when markets get confirmation, great, they book profits and then sell. Okay, you can Google it, sell the news. Okay, that's one. Number two, we know that there are still some really big decisions around crypto between now and January 15th. And we'll let you know more details as we get closer to it. But that decision that's due by January 15th could force a lot of selling, some forced selling of Bitcoin. Okay, so that's still weighing on the crypto market's minds. That's why those early gains after the Fed really didn't hold, so I push it lower. But then going back to the Fed, reason number three is because there is still a lot of mixed signals. Because once markets had time to kind of take a look at, okay, what is the Fed actually trying to tell us, right? And you see crypto, gold, even stock markets, then being aware of, well, you know what? There might be actually a lot more people at the Federal Reserve, these big bosses, these Fed officials, who did not even want to cut rates yesterday, right? In fact, many of them silently dissented against the rate cut that actually happened, 25 basis points, 0.25%, right? Even though we know it's not really correct to call 0.25% as 25 basis points, but anyways, that's a different story. But 25 basis points cut, that's what actually happened, right? And then Fed Chair Powell's press conference, some initial joy there, but then once we dug deeper, it's like, well, maybe the Fed is a lot more sending some mixed signals, right? That maybe that those future rate cuts for next year, may not be a foregone conclusion. Now, to be clear, the Fed themselves had their own projections. If it's called a dot plot. If you want to catch up on what the dot plot is, we did an explainer in our special December 9th live stream. You can find it on Bybit.com as well, also on the app, also on Bybit Learn's social media platforms on X and YouTube, where we spoke about the dot plot. Okay, and this is where the Fed officials, this is their forecast of where US interest rates should be, not just in 2026, but all the way through 2028 and beyond. Okay, so the forecast for 2026 from the Fed dot plot is just one more rate cut. Okay, so in other words, you've got not just Fed officials who were doubting whether they should have even cut rates yesterday, number one. And then number two, they're only projecting maybe one more rate cut for next year, all of next year, right? There are some segments of the markets that didn't really buy into it, so there's this thing called the Fed funds futures. And even right now, let me just try and pull up some live data. They still predict I messed this up here. Sorry about that. But for the Fed funds futures, they're still predicting about 29-30% chance that the Fed can still cut 2 more times, or maybe even 3 more times next year. Okay. Right now, 80% chance that the next Fed rate cut will only happen in April. So we might have to wait all the way until April. Keep in mind that the Fed has already cut 3 times in September, October, and December, right, of this year. Right. And then it seems like, okay, they might want to wait a bit more. And markets think the Fed might have to wait until maybe March, 55% chance, but 80% chance April. That's forecasts right now. But for all of 2026, only about a 29% chance that markets think the Fed can cut 3 more times next year. So there's a lot of mixed signals, right? What markets believe and what the Fed's dot plot told us versus the risk on stuff that Fed Chair Powell told us, right? So yeah, I think because of that, that's why you've got Bitcoin that just really struggled to hold on to these gains, and then subsequently just kind of sorry, where did my chart go? Yeah, here we go. Let me just try and readjust these real quick. There we go. That's why Bitcoin had a hard time really just struggling to, push towards that 95,000 target, instead coming back down to 94K. This one should have been 89K. And just move them around a little bit. Anyway, just trying to move them around so that you could see clearer. Okay. So yeah, I earlier I gave you the half an hour breakdown on Bitcoin's reactions, and this is what it looks like on the daily time frame. Okay, for those of you just joining. Okay, cool. So right now, what's crucial is testing the 21-day simple moving average for support, right? So the setups that I had shown on not just December 9th during our special live stream previewing the Fed rate decision, that's still intact. And also it's the same setup that I showed you from December 5th as a preview leading up to this week. Okay, so here's what it looks like in table form. All right, so again, the longer it stays above 21-day simple moving average, that baby blue line that we saw earlier, okay? I think we can keep this open unless, you guys tell me otherwise. But yeah, potential target 95,000. Otherwise, if we see this daily close below 21-day simple moving average, and I think more importantly, I should add a lower low, right? A lower low, then that's where the 84K could come into play again. Okay, so that's the setup for Bitcoin. We had to show this from December 9th. Don't believe me? Again, check it out. We have it in the name of transparency, all published, all archived, made public on Bybit Learn Official. That's the YouTube channel, Bybit Learn Official. Click on the live tab, or you can find it at Bybit_Learn on X. Also, that special live stream we had on December 9th, it's also available on bybit.com and the Bybit app. Just look for live streams. Okay, cool. So there's a setup for Bitcoin. So 21-day simple moving average right there. Okay, so again, if we see this lower low, perhaps the breaking below this 7 December low of around 87.7, right? 87.7, I think that's going to be crucial thereabouts. This day about low 88. Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe about 88K, 87.7 thereabouts. If you see this break below those lows, right? So it ends this series of higher lows that we've seen so far. Okay, that's another crucial indicator to watch. Okay, cool. So that's gold. Let me just do a quick check-in on sorry, that was Bitcoin. Let me do a quick check-in on gold, right? And I know again this is something that you guys love as well. Here we go. Yeah, so sorry, I've kind of ruined all my charts because of zooming in to show you guys the earlier charts. Bear with me. Let's try this. There we go. Zoom back out. Maybe zoom out to here. Okay, yeah, that's about good. Okay, cool. So, right, look at this, right? The 9-day simple moving average. This is the crucial one I've been highlighting for a while now, right? And again, don't believe me? Go check out our December 5th live stream. That was last Friday as we preview to this week. So right now, today you can see it kind of tested support. Let me zoom in here. Tested support at that blue line. This is the 9-day simple moving average. Hits it, bounce back off. Okay, so this is going to be very crucial for gold prices moving forward. So we had this false break below, but then climb back up, right? So once again, 9-day simple moving average clearly being tested, okay, by those wanting to bring prices down versus those wanting to push prices up. Okay, bears versus bulls. Okay, because if we see again this decline daily close, and we could see 4115, but I think given the Fed's overall supportive nature that there will be still more rate cuts to come, at least based on market expectations, then I think the downside for gold has been diminished compared to the upside. Okay, so we have now. Granted, we did have quite a bullish target for gold all the way up here, 4348, right? So I think it looks like gold bulls, those hoping gold prices can move higher, they might have to wait for a while more before we can see 4348. I think this will be predicated on whether the Fed gains more conviction to cut rates in the near term. And guess what? That conviction could come really, really soon. I will tell you more about it in tomorrow's live stream. Why? Because on Fridays, we preview the week ahead. Next week, the Fed watch isn't over. Just because the Fed meeting is done for 2025 doesn't mean the Fed watch is over. We've got the next Fed meeting in late January, right? And there's economic data to come. And we will use that economic data to try and predict what the Fed will do. Right, I'll tell you more about it tomorrow. Do not miss out tomorrow's live stream. But for now, we'll keep 4348 intact. Otherwise, 4115 to the downside. It all depends on the 9-day simple moving average. Hence, this setup that we've shown from December 9th. Go check out the live stream there, right? 4348 or 4115. It all depends on this daily close below the 9-day simple moving average. Okay, and whether the 9-day simple moving average can hold for the near term. Okay, and again, same thing, we shared this on December 5th as well, last Friday. Okay, cool. That's gold. Tell you what, let's, before we move on, right, guys, real quick, for those of you who are watching, thank you so much. Now, of course, we like to think that the learning in and of itself, you can glean all this information and you can use it to your own benefit. That should be reward in and of itself. But of course, we here at Bybit Learn, we want to make it that much sweeter. So don't forget, okay, between now and the end of the year, we've got a prize pool set aside of 25,000 USDT. Okay, just for you, especially if you're a new user. Okay, now if you're a new user, don't have a Bybit account yet, scan this QR code now. All right. Alternatively, you can tap on the link in the YouTube description below, or tap on the link in the X post description, right? Sign up through that link, and then you can get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards for new Bybit accounts, for new Bybit account signups. Okay. Now, if you're a Bybit OG user, no worries, because even if you scan the QR code, it'll bring you to this page, okay, where you can stand a chance at your own share of 5,000 USDT per week. All you got to do is scroll down, find out all these different tasks that you can be a part of, right? Be it even just submitting your documents as part of your sign-up process, all the way to inviting friends or trying different products, even depositing over 100 USDT that can get you in the running for your share of 5,000 USDT per week. Or you can even engage with the content, and I'll show you my article in just a bit, right? And then once you do that, you'll get points and see how you stack up against the leaderboard, right? And that's how you kind of get your share of 5,000 USDT that was set aside per week just for you, those who are already within the Bybit universe. Otherwise, new users, scan the QR code, click on the link in the YouTube description or on X at Bybit_learn, and make sure you sign up with that link. Okay. All right. Coming back to this article that I published earlier today. This is the postmortem. For those of you just joining, make sure you find the Learn section of the Bybit app or on the website. It's learn.bybit.com. All right. And then you can click on analysis and then get to here. I've shown you that already. You can rewind on this live stream to find out how we got there. So that was Bitcoin, that was gold. Okay. Now this SP 500, my word, it got so close to this all-time high, 0.2%. Right, it got so close. Before then, there's that company Oracle, right, then released its earnings, and then that really disappointed markets and then pulled it back down. Okay, there's the SP 500, and we'll show you the live chart here in just a few seconds. But this was what it looked like on the daily time frame for the S&P 500 or SP 500, which got to within 0.2% of its all-time high. But then since then, we have seen some buy the dip action, right? How about this, or at least early today? So you look at this is again the SP 500 on the daily time frame. This is within the Bybit universe. So it got down to as low as 6823.65, but then look at it bounce up by another 50 index points. Now 687, almost 6875. Now crossing above 6875 right now. So clearly there are folks who have come back in to buy those declines. Right. And there's a big thing coming up in just a few hours later today. I'll give you a preview about it in just a few minutes. But so there has been buy the dip action here. So, you can see the discrepancy, so to speak, between crypto, the crypto world and stock markets. Okay. But all you got to know is it got to within 0.23% from its all-time intraday high on the back of Fed Chair Jerome Powell's press conference. That all-time high was registered back on here, 30th October of 6928.63. So it got so close, right? Which brings us to what we had previewed from last Friday. Did you miss out? I'm trying to let you guys know here that, hey, you guys got to make sure you keep tabs with our daily market updates on this live stream, because this is a slide that I had shown last Friday. Don't believe me? Go check it out, right? In the name of transparency, we have them all archived on our YouTube channel. Search for @BybitLearnOfficial. That's the YouTube channel, Bybit Learn Official. Click on the live tab, or on X @Bybit_Learn. Okay, so this was what we mentioned, right? So S&P 500 new record high? Question mark. We asked, and oh god, so close, 0.23%. Okay. Now let's look at the other one, right? USD CHF. Okay. Let's find out if it actually hit the target, because when I updated this slide an hour ago, it got to 1.4 pips of that 0.795 target. All right. We'll see. Drum roll, please. Right. Got to within 0.02%. Right. So close. Did you miss out? Let's go and find out right now. Did it actually hit the target? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. This is USD CHF coming up right now. Boom. There we go. Did you miss out? Right. How about that? Cross below that 0.795 mark. Oh, right. Again, don't believe me? Go check it out. Right. We had drawn these levels here. This is the range that we had expected for this week. You had the Fed rate decision yesterday. Again, this is the 1-day daily time frame. Okay. We had drawn these lines since last Friday, December 5th, when prices were here. Right smack in the middle of that range. I'm saying look out for this to the upside target, look out for this to the downside target. Boom, we've crossed it. Right. So this was easily excuse me, from around 0.8 down to 0.95. Now I know it might sound kind of tight there, but that's about 100 pip move there, right? And you can see just from these daily candlesticks how these two big candlesticks have actually is much bigger in comparison to what we've seen in days prior, right? So big move there just in 2 days, something we had highlighted already from December 5th, right? I hope you didn't miss out. But to be clear, none of this is financial advice. If nothing else, just to follow along, right? Why? Because we had not just the Fed rate decision who signaled that, hey, there's at least one more rate cut coming next year, right? But then also you've got the Swiss National Bank, the SNB, that did not cut interest rates. Okay. In fact, they're saying, they're probably going to keep at this 0% interest rate that they've had for a while now, and maybe stay there for a while. Okay. So just know this. Okay. The idea of interest rates coming down tends to weaken its currency. So the idea of the Fed cutting interest rates or lowering interest rates in the US has weakened the dollar, weakened the USD side of this currency pair, USD CHF. USD CHF is the dollar versus the Swiss franc, okay? And that's why when you've got this dichotomy between a central bank that's cutting still, and then, hold on, central bank that's cutting still versus, let me make this smaller, versus another central bank that appears content to keep its interest rates unchanged and on hold for a while, right? Hence, you got the weaker USD CHF, okay, which means weaker dollar against the Swiss franc, or you can say the Swiss franc is strengthening against the US dollar, which it clearly is. In fact, let me do a quick check here. let's see if the Swiss franc is indeed strengthening against all of its G10 peers. When we say G10 peers, these are all the major currencies. I'm talking euro, Swiss, Japanese yen, British pound, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, US dollar, right? So yes, I can confirm that today the Swiss franc is indeed strengthening against all of its G10 peers, including the US dollar. In fact, the Swiss franc is the best performing G10 currency against the US dollar today. And this arrow should have been here then. Sorry about that. Because I've been moving these charts around just to zoom in and out so you can get a clearer view. Now, on top of that, breaking news, the Swiss franc is strengthening against all of its G10 peers so far today. Okay. US dollar weaker by 0.7%. But more importantly, during this live stream, if you have been watching right now, well done. You have seen it just live crossing below that 0.7950 target that we've had set from last Friday. Don't believe me? Go check out that live stream. Okay. And we have it here. Now, last but not least, on this particular slide, we had the oil breakout. So that, well, again, we cited that as, I mean, if you watch a live stream, I did say, not very convinced by it. And sure enough, when this week passed with the reports that were expected, right? The OPEC and IEA reports, not so much to shout about. So, I just left it there just for you guys to be aware. But of course, all the focus this week has been on the Fed rate decision that just happened at 7 p.m. GMT on December 10th. Okay, so this one I said the target. I'm going to try and I got to update this now because it's actually hit the target. So well done. The oil breakout, let's do a quick check-in. Yeah, not really much. It was falling today. Okay, well, actually, falling. Okay, well, getting a lot closer to our $61 target there. Let me try and see if there's any breaking news that's causing these slightly bigger moves since this live stream. How about that? Okay, you do have U.S. jobless claims that actually climbed by the most since 2020. Let's do a quick check-in on how some of these other assets are faring. Okay, so you still have that rebound in the SP500. You also have this is USD CHF, right? So the USD is weakening because I bet you now the odds for those Fed rate cuts have actually gone higher. Let's see. There we go. So the odds for a January rate cut by the Fed, January 28th, is now up to 24%. Now, literally earlier today, it was in the single digits. No one thought it was going to be possible, right? But those odds have gone from single digits up to 24% chance by January of a Fed rate cut. So hence the dollar weakening. Hence you see on the screen there, USD CHF just falling because of weaker dollar. And that's why you got oil prices just also tanking because, again, the idea that jobless claims, that's the people who are unemployed, who want to work, who can't find work, so they have to go get insurance payments or help benefits from the US government. They file for those jobless claims, unemployment claims, right? So when you see those numbers tick up by the most since 2020, that's some breaking news there. The idea that people who don't have jobs don't need to drive their cars or to go to work, there's less demand for oil. Or they certainly don't have money to be going on a year-end holiday, or at least they might be looking to save, on their economic activities or basically their trips around town that could use oil, right? So hence this big drop in oil. We had set that $71 target from, again, last week. So that was more about the jobless claims, unless if OPEC also actually just announced something. Let me just do a quick check here. I'm giving you live breaking news here, folks. So you do have well, let me see. Yeah, you got OPEC plus. OPEC report that we had highlighted since last Friday's live stream, just talking about they see a balanced market for next year. Well, there is some risk off move as well, but I want to say that it's mainly because of that big jump in jobless claims in the world's biggest economy. That data really spooked markets there. In fact, that was something that we had mentioned in our report today as well, right? So if you go back again to find the daily bit, which has this title, okay, all the way at the bottom, I asked, well, what's next, right? Here we go. What's next, right? Mention this. Sure enough, that's a causing a big move in forex markets, right? USD CHF. We can look at euro dollar in just a bit, whether it pushed up even higher to a new record. Well, not a record high, but did it punch above a new 1 month high? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So now it is actually, now this is something I drawn earlier today. Euro dollar is now punched up to its highest. Yeah, new 1 month high. There we go. Breaking news here, folks. Well done. Well done for you joining right now. That's new 1 month high. Oh, where did it go? There we go. Right, set a new 1 month high. So this is euro dollar. That means the euro, when it goes up, means the currency at the front, the what they call the base currency, is strengthening against the quote currency, which is on the right side. Okay, on the back side, so to speak. Okay, going from left to right. So euro is now set a new 1 month high against the dollar. Right, and keep in mind that euro dollar is the world's most traded FX pair. So again, plenty of opportunities. See that big move already after the Fed meeting. Now you got these jobless claims that just came out, right? Rose by the most over the past week since the onset of the pandemic, increased by 44,000 to 236,000 in just 1 week. Right, that's the number of initial jobless claims. It's the first time they're actually applying. So, in other words, what does this mean for the Fed? If the U.S. jobs market weakens, the Fed may have to cut interest rates again sooner than expected. Not maybe not the March or April meeting that markets had kind of forecasted, but now odds are rising 24%, 1 in 4 chance that the Fed may have to actually contemplate cutting in January. Okay, January 28th. That is the next Fed meeting. Okay, now there's more, right? I know I told you I'll kind of keep this for tomorrow, but because of this data coming out, we got to look at these as well. Next week, you've got more jobs data coming out. This is a much bigger one. This is arguably the biggest jobs data, the most followed jobs data in the world. And then on December 18th, we've got the US inflation data. So do not miss out on that. Of course, we are going to keep you guys posted all along the way with these daily market update live streams at 2 p.m. GMT. But of course, our daily bits as well, which is published about 5-6 hours before this live stream starts. Okay, so make sure you go check it out there. Also, for in today's article, I showed you guys how each of these major asset classes, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, etc., gold, SP 500, how much volatility there was, right? We showed you that initial spike earlier before coming back down, how much higher they did go during the 6-hour window, how much lower they went, and based against forecast, right? So some of them actually, well, I mean, they pretty generally they lined up pretty well, right? 2.2 versus 2%, 1.6 versus 2%, and not too bad, right? And then same thing, 2.5 up. That was the forecast for Ethereum. What really happened was 2% up. What really happened was 3.6% down versus 3% forecast, right? So yeah, pretty close, not bad. There was some that matched up really, really well. So like the Ripple one, right? It matched 4.2% down, right? Compared to this 4% forecast. Don't believe me? Again, you can check out on the daily bits that we published the day before, December 10th. It's all in the name of transparency. Hold me accountable to the content that we put out there. To be clear, none of this is financial advice, okay? But, we're just calling it based on the various tools and signals that we see in the markets, and we're just sharing it with you. Hopefully, you then make better informed decisions across, not just cryptos that you saw here, right? Ripple matching those forecasts for the downside, but also even TradFi products like gold, SP 500, euro dollar, right? All that. So obviously this was all as of today. Now that euro dollar has even climbed way more. Okay. Yeah. So that's in today's article. Go check it out. Cross-reference it with the forecasts that we had shown in the December 10th article that we published, right? Check those numbers, do your own research, right? And then of course check out the December 9th live stream that we have on the Bybit website. Make sure that I'm not fibbing you, right? Yeah, and plenty more justification for what actually happened with the Fed yesterday overnight. Okay, cool. I know we're about 10 minutes over. Look, folks, if you got any questions, thought, comments, any charts that you want to see, we have seen how even during this live stream, here we go, euro dollar is still rising, setting this new 1-month high levels that we haven't seen since October 3rd. We have seen USD CHF just blasting our through our target there. Well done. So at least hitting our target. It is the best performing G10 currency against the US dollar today. Swiss franc also strengthening against all of its G10 peers. I'm talking the Japanese yen, Australian dollar, the euro, British pound, right? The Swiss franc is strengthening against it because they had their own rate decision there. Let's look at the S&P 500 now. Yeah, so it got so close to its all-time high. A question that we had pondered from last Friday, that coming into this week with the Fed rate decision, we asked if the S&P 500 could hit a new record high. It got to within 0.23%, fell down, but then there's been clearly some buy the dip action here, but it's not over. It's not over, right? US markets had just opened 10 minutes ago, but there's one more big thing to look out for US stocks, okay? That is this company called Broadcom, okay? Let me tell you more about it here. Let me show it to you in written form. So we have this coming up after US markets close today. All right, so in about let me see, 6:40 p.m. here in Dubai time, about 6.5 hours or so from now. Okay, you've got Broadcom announcing their earnings. Who is Broadcom? Okay, in fact, if you're not familiar, Broadcom is a major semiconductor supplier. Of course, they've got other software solutions as well and infrastructure solutions, but they are very much within the AI story. Okay, they've got projects, hyperscaler project with Meta, Google, ByteDance, etc. So they got the earnings coming up right after US markets close today, and markets predict this potential move up or down after its earnings are released. And then, of course, then they'll have a call where they tell investors and the media and analysts, okay, what their forecasts are besides going through some of the numbers that they've just announced, okay. And you can trade this stock. You can just look for either Broadcom or AVGO. That's AVGO. That's the ticker. You can find them all on Bybit. I will show you how to find them in just a bit. But you can trade this stock essentially live, almost 24 hours, 5 days a week, and especially during this live announcement by the company. Okay, and let me just throw you some more data here, because this stock, right, amazing. It just set a new record high yesterday. Let me repeat, it set a new record high yesterday. Not only that, right? So if you're thinking bear market, well, not so much in stock markets. S&P 500, less than 1% away from its all-time high. Broadcom just hit a new record high yesterday. Let me also do some calculation here. Over the past 12 months, this stock has more than doubled up, 125% over the past 12 months. So far this year, this stock has gone up about 78%. Let me get some more closer time frame numbers for you. So just from that, say, I would say over the past month, this stock has actually gone up by, let me just do some quick measurements here, about 26%. Okay, so what bear market? Our job here at Bybit Learn is, of course, not just make you aware of the so many opportunities across cryptos that you know and love, but in these times when crypto sentiment is still quite weak, there's still many opportunities within the Bybit universe for TradFi. That's TRADFI. That's short for traditional finance, right? Opportunities in euro dollar, dollar Swissy, Broadcom, US stocks, right? We have them, and also even silver. I tell you what, I'll show you that right now. Silver even also just hit new record highs. I think this is the silver chart here. It's been hitting new, there we go, right? Just even punching up even higher now, in stark contrast to gold. That's your silver chart right there. Right. And if you want to know what the forecasts are according to Wall Street analysts or from Bloomberg's models, you just let me know. Right, more than happy to share them with you. Drop me a comment in the live chat on YouTube or on X. I have the YouTube one open now, but even if you're watching after the live stream is ended, which I know most of you are doing, which is fine, then send us a message on X. You can find us at Bybit_learn. Silver hitting that new record high, but let's go back to Broadcom to wrap things up. So you got Broadcom here, right? So yeah, here we go. So hitting a new record high yesterday, but of course dropping in tandem with many of the AI stocks, like I mentioned earlier, because of the Oracle earnings that came out after Fed Chair Jerome Powell had his press conference yesterday at 7:30 p.m. GMT, right? But it's declining a little bit from those record highs. But again, we have those earnings coming out from Broadcom, right? And Broadcom is a part of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is the world's most popular index to measure how US stock markets are performing overall. When I say an index, think of it as measuring something. So the stock index measures a group or basket of stocks. So the S&P 500 stock index measures the group of 500 industry leading names from Apple to Tesla, Nvidia, Disney, JP Morgan, Coca-Cola, Broadcom. Okay, so Broadcom is in there. So if they have better than expected earnings, as in they can still stoke excitement about the AI story, because again, these guys have clearly been a big player in the AI space with projects with Google, Meta, ByteDance, etc. Markets predict that this stock could set a new record high, potentially even hitting $436. Okay. Again, we're in the name of transparency, we'll keep this up. We'll check in on it, how it fared tomorrow, right? But this move could happen within 6 hours or so from now. Okay, after US markets close, they'll release their earnings, and then they'll have a call with analysts, investors, and also mainly analysts really. So yeah, 436 to the upside. We'll see if it gets there, hence question mark, or otherwise to the downside. If Broadcom disappoints, if their earnings are lower than expected and they don't sound as bullish about their future AI related earnings, right, then we could see 3880 to the downside. Okay, we'll keep these lines are there, right? They are there before the earnings announcements. We'll see if they hit them. We have had done stocks earnings before with Alibaba, hit the target beautifully. We've done it with Nvidia. Again, all in the name of transparency. Go check those out. Those are all screenshot and posted on our X channel. That's at Bybit_learn. Okay, cool. So that's the setup for Broadcom. Again, it's a big AI story. If this one disappoints, right, don't be surprised if the S&P 500 also then falls further as well. But clearly there's been some buy the dip action, and bolstered by the thought of perhaps more Fed rate cuts coming, or sooner Fed rate cuts, perhaps in January. Those odds were in the single digits this morning, now up to 24%. So a 1 in 4 chance that the Fed might be forced to support the US jobs market by lowering interest rates sooner. Okay. And that might put some of the dissenters that we spoke about earlier, those who were silently didn't officially vote, but kind of was giving signals, which we found out later after the meeting, that they didn't even agree with the rate cut yesterday. They didn't want to. They wanted to keep it at where it was, right? So if the jobs market weakens, then they might be caught wrong and flat-footed. But right now, again, markets are already preempting some of these future Fed rate decisions. Of course, we'll keep you up to date in the meantime. Okay. All right. I don't see any questions on YouTube. Thank you for the like there, Tomiwa, on our X channel. So, right, if you're watching this, right, make sure you don't miss out. None of this is financial advice, just giving you an update on what's happening across asset classes. We'll end with this in 30 seconds. S&P 500 right now, going up. Still a chance of maybe potentially hitting a new record high if Broadcom over here does give us better than expected results that lifts all these AI stocks like Nvidia, Google, etc. That should help lift the broader stock index as well. That's the S&P 500. USD CHF, right? Beautiful, right? During this live stream, touching that target 0.795. Well done there. Looking at Bitcoin, just to wrap things up. Yeah, that 21-day simple moving average, absolutely crucial, right? If we see not just a daily close below it, but also a lower low than these lows here from December 7th of $87,720.8. and 50 cents. So that's 87720.5. If it goes below that, then we can look at 84,000 as a downside target. We'll see if this holds. Okay. Otherwise, it did get so close just earlier this week, about 0.4 of about $400, 0.4% away from that 95,000 target that we've had since November 21st. Go check out that November 21st live stream if you do not believe me. Okay, cool. You want to check in on gold? Sure, let's look at gold. That's another favorite. Gold, how about that? Right now, back in the green, yeah, punching back up because of those initial jobless claims. That 9-day simple moving average, that's the darker blue line, clearly doing its job, at least for now, right? Like it has been really over the past few sessions, pushing up and erasing the losses that we had from earlier today, as posted here in our daily bits article, right? When you can see over here is all the way in the red. This is from the article. In case you missed it, markets tumble after latest Fed signals, giving you a recap of that pivotal Fed rate decision. The Fed watch is not over. Next week we've got more stuff coming up, right? And I'll go over these with you tomorrow, same time, same place. YouTube, Bybit Learn Official. On X, it's at Bybit_Learn, right? So don't miss out tomorrow's daily market update live stream or week ahead preview live stream starting at 2 p.m. GMT. Thank you so